Why is Yorkshire so big? Because we're the best.
Are you asking why is Yorkshire so big?
Because it's the biggest county, it must be.
When people ask me, are you British first or are you Muslim first, I say I'm Yorkshire before both.
You've heard about hiding your light under a bushel. In Yorkshire, we hide the bushel.
The fact that my constituency happened to be in this amazing part of the world was just pure serendipity and an absolute complete bonus.
They call it God's own county, land of the White Rose, driver of the Industrial Revolution. Or is it a land of flat vowels, windy weather and bloody-minded stubbornness? Victorious in the War of the Roses, 6th out of all countries in the 2012 Olympics medal table? Or is it a land divided by historic feuds and petty infighting? Pioneers who brought us the Brontes, Wensleydale cheese, stainless steel, the first football club, Marks and Spencer's, and of course, the Yorkshire pudding. Or an arrogant, bloody-minded bunch of penny-pinching skinflints. So what's the truth? Join me on a journey as we explore what makes this vast landscape and its people tick. As we ask, who is Yorkshire?
Are you determined, Amy?
Am I determined?
A gritty woman?
I think I am gritty.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm... Yeah, I think I am. I'm gritty. I'll do stuff that ordinary people not from Yorkshire might not do.
Like what?
Yeah, because without saying what, that's not necessarily a good thing.
I will not answer any questions.
I will murder livestock with my bare hands.
Not saying that, people from other parts of the country haven't got a drive, but I think there's something special about us lot from Yorkshire. There really is. We've got something, and you can't describe it. The only way you can describe it, I guess, is grit, determination, isn't it?
It's a very twee phrase that slips off the tongue, doesn't it? But does it really mean what we want it to mean?
I think the interesting phrase about Yorkshire grit, and it is true, is because it comes from millstone grit. It was about the mills, it was about the grinding, it was about the construction, it was very much about the nature of the area. And you see that right across Yorkshire.
There'll be much more of that sod you, I'm going to prove you wrong in Yorkshire than many other places.
That sense of you will work hard, you will behave yourself, you don't go out and make, life difficult for people in the street. If your neighbour tells you off and even gives you a clip round the ear, well, you deserve that.
These decisions are presented us, these forks in the road are there all the time. And the people who have the most grit are the people who make the most right decisions, not the easy ones.
It's that idea of if you get knocked down, don't be thinking about it too long, just get yourself up and shrug it off and just move on to the next thing. And I think that's certainly a Yorkshire value system.
First one in the morning is your alarm goes off, you press the snooze button, that's the easy decision. The right one's just get up and get out of bed, right? And then the next easy decision could be whether you decide to go training or not. The easy decision is don't train. The right decision for you, your body mentality, is go train.
That kind of feeling that if you're from a certain background, you don't, why are you trying to do something different? I think that's still at street level alive today. And I think that's a sadness, but also it does put a streak of lead in your back. It does make you tough.
I was with a friend and his girlfriend, and she would occasionally say words, and there's a couple of other people there, and she would occasionally turn to me after certain words and ask me if I knew what they meant. So she'd be like, oh, we could just get a carafe of wine. Ian, do you know what a carafe is? And like, yeah. Yeah, I do know what a carafe is. And like, because there's no other tone to like, when everyone else, it's not like, does everybody know what it is? It's just like, best check that this northern scumbag knows what you probably won't have wine. Have you ever had wine before?
Did you say we have gravy in carafes in Yorkshire?
Yeah.
Whilst I was training to be a drama teacher, every summer and every Christmas, I worked on the bins for the council. And I did that for 5 years. And I tell you, if you want to discover what would make you be a playwright, it's working on the bins for 5 years.
We were kind of being educated to be perfect housewives without realising it. I was always going to be a journalist. From the age of 8, that's what I wanted to do.
Well, people have been telling me I'm not good enough all my life. Started at 11 when the education system said I wasn't good enough to go to a grammar school. I had to go to a secondary school to work with my hands at best. My mum called me a thickie, gave me a good hiding, and that just made me resolve to prove people wrong.
My English teacher said to me, "You'll never be a journalist. You're too rushed. Your spelling isn't always great." I said, "Oh no, I will be a journalist." He said, "No, you'll never be a journalist." He said, "Only really intelligent people will be journalists." Do you know, that's exactly what I needed to hear. You told me I couldn't, but thank you. Because thanks to you, I could, I can, and I will.
We was doing a piece about the Rhubarb Triangle.
What course did you do, Amy?
What do you think it would be?
Rhubarb studies.
History?
No.
Geography?
No.
Drama.
Yeah, of course it was drama.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
it was like home economics or something.
No, it was like performance.
You became
like
the rhubarb.
I had to play a piece of forced rhubarb. And
can you reenact it for us?
I can actually.
What a Shakespeare play was it?
And it starts and I'm on the ground in some soil and there's a man who I didn't know playing the cello, and then I grew and I was going. That's the noise it makes. Yeah. And then I just caught like my mum's eyes in the audience, and she just said, I said, "Did you enjoy it?" She said, "It wasn't for me."
So we've got the climate, we've got the people, and we've got the grit. Rhubarb is best grown in Siberia and Yorkshire Rhubarb Triangle. The Rhubarb Triangle is an historical area that now has protected designation of origin, and basically it's 3 points on the map. Leeds, Wakefield and Bradford forms a perfect triangle. At the end of the Second World War, there were 200 producers producing about 200 tonnes of rhubarb per day. I don't think we could cope with 200 growers today. There are only 9 now left. It went out of favour. Memories of sour rhubarb, because they couldn't get the sugar to the taste that children liked, turned a generation away from this product. My father was determined this crop would not die. People will return once more to rhubarb. We just have to hang on. Well, 9 growers have held on. They tried it in many places but couldn't get the yields that they could in Yorkshire. So as you can see, we look after our rhubarb here and the rhubarb looks after us. We know Yorkshire grit will never let us down, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And rhubarb crumble, my favourite.
I was saying the other day that my best friend, when we were about 16, she had depression, and I remember someone in my family saying, "Oh, have you heard?" Alex has got depression, la-di-da. It was like a sort of like middle class thing to have any mental health issues.
I wish I could have depression.
Yeah, wish I had time for depression.
We learn from our history and we rejoice in it, but we mustn't live in it. We must make the history now that others will look back on.
I think people have put up with a lot, and it's toughened them, it's made them more resilient. It's probably bred a certain disrespect and distrust of authorities because of what happened to them. But, I think it is, on the whole, Stoicism is a good characteristic. People can put up with things. It's whether they can now look to the future rather than the past and put all that glorious, historic past into context and move on. And I think they can, and I think they're proving they can, day by day.
I think there is a Yorkshire grit. I think I think I might have suggested it depends where you're from. However, I guess there are people from Richmond who've got Yorkshire grit. There were people from Harrogate with Yorkshire grit, Knaresborough with Yorkshire grit, certainly Barnsley.
You know when things are difficult, you don't ignore it, but you see a way of getting through that. And how do you get through stuff like that for me? It's about two things, about self-awareness and good decision making.
It was a fight for determination, and I think that's something that us Yorkshire people have. We've got grit, we've got determination, and nothing will stop us. If we're going to do something, we're going to do something, aren't we?
But tell me I can't, and I absolutely will.
I think sometimes you just have to convince yourself, I can do this.
2012, we saw lots of Yorkshire people successful in the Olympics, because I reckon for 4 years those athletes from Yorkshire made more right decisions than easy ones, and then when they line up at the start line, they're ready because they know they've prepared themselves, they've pushed themselves, they've channeled their grit, and they're ready to go.
I don't know what's going to be around the corner, but whatever it is, I'm ready to fight it and tackle it.
My dad got diagnosed with stage 4 terminal lung cancer in 24th of November 2011. Now on Thursday night we have to go play Wigan, top of the table clash, first versus second, really important back end of the year about where we finished in the league. So we get to Thursday morning, day of the game, so you can imagine my emotions are all over the place. I'm thinking, is my dad going to die today? He's been doing this death rattle, but he's still fighting because he was only 58. We get to about 4 o'clock and the team bus is set off. And I'm thinking to myself, right, do I play here or do I not? What am I going to do here? Then I just thought to myself, right, well, I think my dad would be pretty pissed off if I just stayed here and wait. My dad would want me to play. So it's my... So it's mad how our emotions come back. So anyway, I'm there, I'm feeling like I am now. And I say to myself, well, do you know what, I'm going to play. So I get in my car and I start to head off in the car to go play at Wigan. We won the game, went top of the league. And for me, that is kind of my ultimate act of grittiness when everything was against me, and I think it's tough to go play anyway, but the thing that takes it up a level in terms of grittiness is just that I'm going to play my best. I'm not turning up here just to make up the numbers.
So who is Yorkshire? We have metal born of hard times. We're shaped by the landscape, and wherever we go, our Yorkshireness never leaves us. It dwells in us. It's in our blood. It is our roots.
My mum loved us wearing Marks and Spencer's dresses, and she couldn't afford to buy, there's 5 of us, she couldn't afford to buy 5 Marks and Spencer's dresses, or C&A dresses often it would be. So she would buy a C&A dress, and then she'd buy the fabric and she'd replicate them. So, you know, only one of us would be wearing an M&S or a C&A dress. Everybody else would just be worn ones stitched at home by my mum. But we all looked like we all had M&S dresses on.
I was living the life of Kes, essentially, the novel. It was very working class. All the blokes were either miners or unemployed. It was very macho.
Yeah, I was raised on gravel and diesel. If there's only one way to describe it.
Bradford is my city, and it was built on immigration. It was a life of maypole dancing and church youth clubs.
It was a very, very macho environment, you know. So to admit that you like doing plays in that kind of environment and reading books and novels and that kind of thing, that was tantamount to saying, you know, actually, I'm gay. You know, I wasn't. The fact that I was 6'4" and 17 stone, people couldn't get their head around that.
It was the most exciting, cosmopolitan in the real sense of the word. Different city. I could pleat a sari. I was 11 and I used to eat a raw chili as a party piece.
In those kind of times, you didn't get all that you wanted. You know, I remember having to make trainers and clothes last forever, but I think that's just part of growing up in that era for me.
As a youngster, getting on the council at the age of 22, not being able to see, it was a big risk that they were taking in saying, well, let's let this lad have a go.
I used to go to London, put a show on the West End, and then actually be happy to get on the train at King's Cross and come back to Donny, pick up my car and drive back to Hull, because there was something very manageable about Hull. It was great, the bright lights of London were great, but I was happier being at home.
You know, I love travel, but I'm one of those people who love going away, but just love coming back down the M62 or flying into Leeds, Bradford and seeing my own county and my own place.
But I think everywhere probably says, like, what do people in Essex or whatever, Kent say it's God?
No, I think they're self-aware enough to know it's not a God's own county. Not Essex.
Well, where do you live? And I go, well, I live in Yorkshire. And they go, oh. And one of them actually said to me, oh, poor you. And I said, poor me. I'm sitting here, surrounded by glorious countryside, in an area that bred me, that I am passionate about, writing for a national newspaper. Why would I want to be in London?
I think Yorkshire is a country in a county.
They've got as much contrast in their geology and their landscape as many people do in half a continent.
We've got the 2 national parks.
We've got the fishing, we've got the agriculture.
It's got plains, it's got marshes, it's got great rivers, it's got mountains, it's got hills.
Subtly different areas, subtly different cultures.
With 5 million people and the size it is, it's very significant.
I also think that I think holding on to your Yorkshireness gave me something to fall back on and a sense of belonging. So, you know, when you sat around a table where the majority of the people, you know, have come from Eton, or you're sat around a table where, you know, there's lots of posh folk, as we'd call them here, I wear my Yorkshireness as a badge of honour. I wear my working class roots as a badge of honour.
The amount of people who assume I'm quite thick is in such high numbers that I was saying the amount of times, and it's such an embarrassing reaction, that I've reeled off my GCSE, A-level and university results to someone in anger at them.
That's the most pathetic thing I've ever heard anyone do.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of my upbringing. My upbringing, those 18 years that I lived in that 3-bedroom semi, taught me everything and anything that I needed to know for the rest of my life. And, you know, when I've got an important decision to make, I can hear my dad on my shoulder, and my dad will be saying 3 words: just do it. Or his favourite phrase, no such thing as can't. And if we could teach anybody anything, it would be to be brought up in an environment where you genuinely believe no such word as can't.
The feeling of sitting here on this street, it's home. Even though I lived here for, how old was I? 20 years, I think. 19 years. But it's still home. I grew up here. Wilford Road, Athersley North, Barnsley. I go back quite a lot. I probably think the people that live on that road thinking, who's that woman that just keeps pulling up on the street and sitting in a car? Our street was, how can I describe it? It was like a war zone in some respects. There's always stuff happening. But I wouldn't change that for the world. I'm fiercely proud of where I'm from. No matter what anyone said to me, I was going to be on the radio. It didn't matter what anyone said to me, you're not going to do it. No, I am. I am. I remember being on the street on my bike, on my BMX. And, you know, the kids saying to me, oh, you're never going to do it, you'll never be on the radio, you'll never be on the radio. Yeah, well, oh well, I'll do it. I'll prove you're wrong. And I did. And that's not an arrogance thing, that's just a drive. Sitting in my back bedroom, listening to the radio, recording the charts on a Sunday afternoon, like everyone did. But the problem is with my recordings of the chart show, it's just all of the DJs, it's all of Bruno Brooks and no music. Whereas now I want to hear it all. I want to hear all the music that goes with it. And then years later, getting to host the Top 40 myself, that was slightly mad. That was a bit crazy. I was confused about, you know, my gender and everything. Late at night, imagine, on here, in the late 80s, my mum and dad went out to the pub and I was fully dressed in my mum's clothes, walking around this block at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night in the late 1980s. So the only thing was for me was it was either take my own life or transition. But I'm doing this massive show. I'm doing, you know, there's, what was it, 1.3, 1.4 million listeners, you know, national chart show, all of these things that I'm doing. I'm trapped in this world. People used to say to me, you're transitioning in Barnsley. I'm like, yeah, it's where I'm from. And I'm staying here and I'm not moving. Why should I run off to, you know, somewhere else in the country that's more open-minded? No, it's open-minded here, you just don't realise it. This is my home. And this was my home, but it always, I don't live here, I've not lived here since 1994, but it always will be my home. And I remember the day we left, you know, my parents allowed me to lock the front door and post the key through the door. This is fundamentally where I am from and my roots are here. And I can't let go of it.
Are you even from Yorkshire if you've never pushed a bike up a cobbled street to get bread while a brass band plays? From the local character on the bus to the tight-fisted cries of how much? Whoever Yorkshire is, it's a bit special.
We have a bit of a reputation of being tight and of being a bit grumpy and of being a bit no nonsense.
There's a new Bradford burger place that's doing burgers for £12. And so I've heard some £12 for a burger? That won't work.
There's something about Yorkshire listeners in the fact that you can take the mick. We're salt of the earth.
We are the opposite to snowflakes, aren't we? Yorkshire is the opposite to being a snowflake.
Have you ever shared bathwater? What do you think is the maximum level you and your family would go to before you're like, we have to run a new bath?
I don't think you could have more than 3. I'm sorry, that's going to really gross you out, but I reckon 1, 2, 3. Then you could maybe like drain half and then just top up again with hot water.
A bit like a shandy.
We are a bit arrogant, but we're also very proud, and we know that if we get our act together, we're the best.
When I first caught the bus from the village where I live, just outside Hull, into Hull, I sat on the inside seat. And somebody at the next stop, a woman, got on and sat next to me on the outside seat and started talking to me. And I thought, oh my God, I've got the nutter.
I don't want to worry you, but Nora Batty doesn't look happy at all with us.
That doesn't make it look like a comedy. She looks like a sort of overbearing, sort of like haunting figure.
Well, she looks to me like the ghost of my future. I know that's what's coming in probably about 6 months' time, actually.
And of course, that was my early initiation into the idea that the fact that people were quite friendly in Yorkshire.
We're full of contradictions in Yorkshire.
The thing that's great about Yorkshire people is they will sometimes say the obvious, something that everybody's looking at, everybody's, knows about, but dare not say. It'll be some Yorkshire folk who'll come along and say it. I'm sure that little boy who said, "Oh, the Emperor's got no clothes on," was from Yorkshire.
Sort of bluntness. There's a bluntness. Like they'll tell you what they think, as if they had no recourse to kind of manners and delicacy and people's feelings. You sit down in front of them and they thought you were ugly, they'd just say you're ugly. I mean, that is complete caricature. The bit that's true about it is kind of authenticity.
And I might quote Alan Ayckbourn when he said, the thing about audiences in Scarborough, which are Yorkshire audiences, is they're very, very, very hard until they break, and then they give you everything. And I think that's a fantastic description of Yorkshire people. It's a bit like the stone. It's a bit like the grit thing. That actually, how do we greet each other? Well, in Upton, all right. You hardly open your mouth. Not bad. All right, not bad.
They don't go for the kind of flowery, cheap kind of accolades or anything. It's no good trying to smooth talk your way with a Yorkshire person who disagrees with you. You have to convince them.
But once you've got beyond that, you feel the affection. And, certainly in the background I'm from, which is a mining background, there was, acres and acres of love and affection and poetry and literary knowledge in those men. But on the face of it, all you got was, all right.
I used to come back from Westminster late in the week, go around community meetings, hold my advice surgeries, and people would quite rightly treat me just as they treated me when I was a lad.
The people I've worked with from Yorkshire, I've had that they're honest. They're never. I'm not Machiavellian. I think they're honest and open. They're an open book, and I think open books are easier to work with people because you create trust when someone's open and not honest with you. I believe you trust them.
They'd tell me what they thought of me and then put their arm around me. It was that spirit that enabled me to do anything that I've managed to achieve throughout my life.
Ian, there's an idea that Yorkshire people are quite stubborn. Would you say that you are quite a stubborn human being?
Maybe, yeah.
I think you've been quite stubborn now. With your arms folded going, I'm not stubborn.
I don't think I'm not stubborn.
I'm not stubborn. I'm not stubborn.
Yeah, I'm not trampled upon. I'm not afraid to open my mouth. I'm not afraid to express my opinions. That's got me into a lot of trouble in the past, but that's because of the way that I was brought up.
I just think people find Yorkshire folk interesting. It's like the ultimate reality TV, isn't it, before reality TV? People put on all this great show on reality TV and, put themselves forward as really eccentric characters. Well, you know what? We have them in abundance in Yorkshire, and they are genuinely eccentric characters, and that's who they are. They're not doing it for TV. This is just the way they are.
I sailed on the Attic Corsair, my grandfather and me. Round Iceland Bay we did roam, drinking all night. It was a Sunday night, we'd done our cleaning. We wanted some more. We can be grounded right down to the lower than a gravedigger's boat, do you know what I mean? But we still get up. Dust yourselves down. and go again. My childhood years and teenage years, there was really, really sad years, do you know what I mean? Really sad, because we grew up in a community, if I can say Hessel Road, which was the big fishing community. A lot of people was thrown, can I say, on the scrap heap, do you know what I mean? And from a 2 up, 2 down Hessel Road, Brighton Street, 9 kids, do you know what I mean? 3 in a bed, little one said, you know what I mean? You changed the sheets today, you know. So, and then mother couldn't cope. She couldn't cope with us. So you know, you was put in children's homes, stand up and fight, or lay down and be beaten. You know what I mean? Grafted all my life, to be honest. Grafted all my life from the age of 15. As soon as you leave home at the age of 15, you're down on the docks, grafting on the docks as a barrack boy. And then from there you go on the trawlers. So there was on the trawlers for 10 years, on and off for 10 years. And then from then, you know, you get up, then you get a wagon. I had 5 wagons shifting rubbish. Leave the skip out, we'll shift out. Manage your man in the waste disposal van. You know, quite quirky with little ideas like that. I got a train from Llandudno in Wales, and it does 5 miles an hour, and I had to order it 6 months in advance to get it here, because it's just 5 miles an hour. Oh, hello. Hi, are you all right? See you soon. Love it, I love it, I love it, because I love what I'm doing. You've got to love what you're doing in life, haven't you? You've got to have a bit of sense of humour, you've got to have a bit of fun, you've got to put a bit of laughter into what you're giving. It's like a bit of a show, to be honest. Mally Welburn's way, I ain't waiting till I die. I am not waiting till I die till they name a street after me. No, this is my way. And now, the end is near, and so you'll face the final curtain. My friend, I'll state it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. The train is my dream. I thought of this long time ago, and now I've got 2 trains. They call me 2 Trains Mally, not 2 Jags Prescott. He's been on here, John Prescott. Talk about people on the train. Oh.
And I attacked the convoy. The destroyers attacked me. The planes bombed me.
After Bluntness is bombed by the Air Force.
And when I'm just a mess of smoke and sparks and stuff, I run for home here. This is my harbour then. Well, I'm 78 years, well, I was 78 years old yesterday. I started this when I was working full-time with the council, and I retired in 2008, and after that they asked me from entertainment side if I'd still stay on and do the boats. Well, I enjoy doing it, and it gives me something to do when I'm retired. I did my first boat show in 98, then I missed 99, and I've done them ever since. I was thrown in at the deep end. It was a case of my foreman, where I was, you know, in the department I worked at the council, called me into his office once late on a Friday and said the lad what was doing what I do dropped out and there's nobody to do it. He says, so get yourself down there on Saturday. So I got down here on Saturday, put me in a boat, says go out, you start the show. The boat is actually now named after me. They call it the Franklin. I drive the enemy. There's nowhere else does it. I like it. You know, I look forward to I don't mind doing the repairs, but I look forward to the summer season and being out here. Like it's known. It's known for it all over the world now. Is this show? It's been going since 1927. So it's going on for 100 years, isn't it? Like, and these people coming now, they'll tell you, their parents brought them or the grandparents brought them, You do get a sense of pride keeping it going for all these people. And especially when it's getting that people now what have been doing it for years are leaving. And after this season, if I didn't come back, I don't know, there's nobody what knows it really. I'm hoping to do another 2 years while I'm 80. When I get to 80, I'll in the words of Fagin, I'll review the situation. But I'll keep going as long as I can because, as you say, I'm quite rather proud of it, and I wouldn't like to. I think I'd be quite upset if it finished.
We might be bitter rivals at times, but when we come together, by it there's a kinship, a collective will. Whether you're north, south, east or west, we know we'll stand together and be counted. Proud to be ourselves, proud to be different, proud to be Yorkshire.
I think people have that sense of pride of being from Yorkshire. They associate with it, they don't disassociate with that, and I don't think you can say that about many other counties.
There is that sense of identity in Yorkshire. It's represented by different things, by the people, by the landscape, by the sheer variety and diversity of the place.
Yorkshire stands out with that way that it pulls the cities beyond their inter-city rivalry and brings them together as one for me.
We as Yorkshire people can really have an impact on the UK.
We get £14 billion of public money less than is spent in Scotland with a similar population.
The Yorkshire people are just as industrious, just as productive, just as hard-working as anybody else in the rest of the country.
Yorkshire just needs that devolution, that decentralisation and the resource that goes with it. And then we need to step up, as they say, to make it work.
5 billion people, you can do things with that. If you provide the infrastructure for people, and when it's the same in business, that if you can take that business and develop it, why not? Why should it be any more successful in Finland than in Yorkshire, for example?
I'm a proud Yorkshireman, but I don't necessarily think we should have devolution. I think we should be part of the whole of the country.
I also think it's a great brand. It has such a distinct identity of its own. It enhances the rest of the nation.
So let's use the Yorkshire collective pissed offness to change the world.
It's about celebrating what we have as a local community and saying we want to show this off to the world.
We can do this. We can do this ourselves, and we can make a success of it. Not just locally, not just in terms of Britain, but globally.
I wear my Yorkshireness as a badge of honour. I wear my working class roots as a badge of honour. I wear my commonness as a badge of honour. My Yorkshireness as something that I'm proud of.
But I'm so proud of people from Yorkshire. I'm so proud of everyone that I live around and surround me. Yeah, I'm Yorkshire through and through.
I know there are people who work in the South who yearn and now talk about their Yorkshireness in a way that I would never have known in the early days. And it's a part of their identity that they're much more kind of open about. It's fashionable now, I think.
Who, out of all the people in Yorkshire, if you had to elect a Yorkshire king and queen to represent Yorkshire around the world.
Who would be the King of Yorkshire? It wouldn't be me.
I thought I was Queen of Yorkshire. Why have you done this to me? You've broken this to me now.
Judi Dench and Sean Bean would be.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
With Prince Zayn Malik and Princess Kimberly Walsh.
Perfect.
Then it shows the evolving nature of Yorkshire
Yes.
perfectly. What a wonderful end to a wonderful day.
I think in Yorkshire every woman thinks she's a queen, and she is.
Kings and queens, I call on you. Be proud of who you are. Make right decisions over easy ones. And may rhubarb be good to you. I reckon there's a bit of Yorkshire in all of us. And so, don't let anything hold you back. Look to the future. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, know this. You can and you will. So whether you're born and bred or just passing through, remember, Yorkshire is more than just a place. It's a state of mind